Sorry, I only get 15 minutes with the screen catcher I have. Number 16 is all yours, like I was saying. You can have it any sound file you want. You can even have it let it go from Frozen. Just to make sure it's a wave. And then number 3, there's 2 different sounds here. One's a longer 30-second idle sound. And the other one, you just take off the short and then just replace this. It's optional. I mean, it's whatever one you like the better. So, moving backwards to where we were. He also included some Eagle files so you can. There's like a driver and one with plugins if you want to use. It's all up to you. It's more cost. You can just solder everything together and call it good, and you'd be fine. He also did it with one LED per cyclotron hole instead of those neopixels. And that diagram, and then he did it on both alternate wiring. So let's go back to where we were here. Just grab a new one. Let's see. There. So electricity works. Battery pack. You're going to have a positive. You're going to have a negative. So all you're doing is completing the loop. Like if we had a wire here to here and you had batteries in it, you would have a direct short, which this would be the device you are powering, which is that wire. And what that would do would heat up that wire because there's so much friction. Well, what we're going to be doing is it's kind of like plumbing. You always want the water to flow back from where you feed it to the drain. But the drain and the feed are in the same little group. Or the same little battery. So what we're going to do is... Where's my eraser? I want this. We're going to run these wires to a buck converter. So you're going to have a positive side, you have a negative side. Now it takes that 11 volts and we're going to convert it to 5. So positive, negative. That's going to go to our Arduino. So, and it can go to the VCC, which that's regulated power, or just the 5-volt rail. And this is going to go to ground. Plus off of there, you're going to have an amplifier. If your amplifier runs off 12 volts, you're going to take it right from the battery and drag it over. If it runs off 5 volts, you're going to want to take it off the regulator and drag it over. So you're going to have regulated power here after you put that buck converter in, and actually you're going to want to actually almost put a buck converter just for your amplifier. You're going to have a bunch of neopixels. They're going to need a ground, a positive, and it's going to have signal. So you're going to want to just tie all your positives together and tie all your negatives together. And that's perfectly acceptable. Now, if you use an IO shield like I suggest, you're going to try to stuff all these little tiny wires into the IO shield hole. So what we can do is come off and build a power rail. What a power rail is just a separated, so one side is negative or positive, the other side is negative or positive. And it has a bunch of different ports here. You just cannot confuse them. If you get IO shield cut the board in half, solder on your the screw terminals on the outside, and then solder all the holes in the inside together, or place a wire in there. You can basically make a power rail, and then you'd put your negative or your ground to that power rail. You do the same for the positive, and then so when you have your neopixels and everything, you're just going to wire all the negatives to their own respective holes, and the positives the same, because you're also going to have your Adafruit sound shield. You're going to have a jack that goes to your amp. You're going to have 4 wires that are going to go to data on your Arduino, and then you're going to also have positive and negative, and those can go to your soundboard as well here. Now, there's going to be something called UG. Now, if that has to be pulled to ground before you apply power to anything, after you hook everything up to the Arduino and everything, or the sound chip will not work in serial mode. And that's why we put the 4 wires. There's 2 ways to run a sound chip. One is, let's see if I still got it open. I don't have it open, but I can get to it quick. So, here's that UG I was talking about. And all you're going to do is run it to ground. So you're going to have VIN, that's where positive goes, ground. You're going to have UG that can go back to this ground, go to this ground, there's a few grounds. G's ground as well. You're going to have a wire on reset, activate, transmit, and receive. Those are the 4 wires that are going to go back to the Arduino. You have your aux cable. You're going to have, if you just use an aux cable and cut off the end and strip it down, you're going to have 1 white, 1 green, 1 red. And I believe the white is your ground, the green and the red are the right and left. And on this one, all you do is put a micro USB cable, and it works like a thumb drive. It's wonderful. So back to this. Here's our power rail. Here's our Arduino. This is our sound chip, which the UG has been grounded out. It's going to there, and now this also is going to go to your speaker. I suck at drawing on this, so bear with me. You can have left and right. You can just have one. It's up to you. And then you can have a volume control. If you can find one that has a removable volume control, you can move it on the pack, and that's really nice too. So then you can adjust it in other places. So, I mean, you're going to know, you can be a complete beginner at this and be just fine. You just have to take it step by step, go slowly, do some research, figure out how electricity is transmitted from a battery to a light, and just move on from that. I mean, this is a little complex, but they also offer diagrams and everything else. Now, one thing I never added in here is right here, there should be a switch. You can just use one of your toggle switches, which kills the battery power to everything. If you're using a LiPo, you're going to have to use a balance charger, so you're going to want a connector too. And that will be after the switch. Or the connector will be before the switch. So you can just pull off the battery and put it on your balance charger, and then put it back on whenever you need it. Or you can get one of the 12-volt charge packs that a lot of the Ghostbuster kits use. Or, if you're only running 5 volts to this, you can skip the buck converters. You don't need these, because this runs off 5 now. This runs off 5. This runs off 5. So we're at 5 volts on everything. You just cut off the end off a USB cable, plug that into a cell phone charge pack, and then run that to your power rail. And then you run all your lines, and you're done. You can skip the buck converters, and these are rechargeable pretty much anywhere, easily replaceable, and you can find them from 2,000 milliamp hours all the way up to 20,000 milliamp hours. So that's another option. If you don't want to do a fancy amp system with speakers you're going to wire and everything, all you have to do is find one of those Bluetooth speakers with an aux cord and plug those in as well. Those work just fine. It depends on how much sound you want. If you want that big booming sound, you're going to have to find a 12-volt amplifier. You can, I think Amazon even has them for like $10-15, and those are the 300 watts. I use one in my R2 unit. And the volume controls on them, they're wonderful. So, that's my messy wiring. His is a lot better. And, I mean, you always can come back, and there is wire diagrams for everything. He's got everything color-coded and everything else. So, this is the explanation and the intro. So, with that, I've pretty much explained everything, I believe. Next videos are gonna be for how to wire up the single NeoPixels. And then after that, you can check out my series on us building the first kit, or me building the first kit and the second kit. And I will build one more kit using these parts, but it'll just be delayed. I have to buy parts. It takes a couple weeks to get in. But I will solder all the switches up and try to do everything on camera. So, if you have any questions, leave a comment or anything else on my videos, and I can try to get back to you, or hit me up on Facebook.